Welcome back to Tarot by the Bay. I'm David. All right, put up a video earlier today about a pair of judges, federal judges, ruling that Department of Agriculture needs to fund the SNAP programs using contingency funds. And during that reading, I was mentioning that Trump was pressuring the Senate to basically sign off on that bill. I didn't quite get it right. Looking at the headlines again and such, what Trump was asking for was he wanted the Senate to use the nuclear option, which is basically ending the filibuster by a simple majority vote. I guess they have the ability to do that on certain things, or they can carve things out like that. But the actual, so I interpreted that as, we want SNAP programs being funded and he wants the government to get moving again, because that is pretty much what he's saying. However, he has something put on his minor social media page, which is as follows. Because of the fact that the Democrats have gone stone cold crazy, with crazy in quotes, this is all in all caps, by the way, the choice is clear. Initiate the, quote, nuclear option, unquote. Get rid of the filibuster, and with a comma in the wrong spot, you're supposed to put the comma after filibuster, not after the word and, just saying, and make America great again. So, again, I interpreted this as saying, end the filibuster, get this bill approved, and let's fund the government. And then you don't have to worry about funding. You don't have to worry about funding SNAP, funding WIC, paying the troops, paying FAA and federal workers. That may not be what he's asking for. The go nuclear option, yeah, that will allow him to sign off his big beautiful bill. But it looks like he wants them to get rid of the filibuster as well. And now the Democrats talked about doing this when they held control of the Senate. And Schumer and company did not want to do that on the off chance that the Republicans got in control. The Republicans have run roughshod over the Democrats. And now Trump wants the Republicans to do that same thing to the Democrats. Currently, the Republicans are pushing back, and they do not want to do this because, for the same reason, it's kind of like, I guess that's why they call it the nuclear option, right? The logic with the Cold War with Russia, with the Soviet Union, is that if you build up enough nukes, nobody will start a nuclear war because mutual annihilation, guaranteed mutual annihilation. The Republicans would be more likely to end the filibuster because they have no problem just running roughshod over people and putting in laws. But they would be wise not to do that, because if they do that, then the Democrats won't feel the need to do the kumbaya group hug, let's all come up with bipartisan support on our projects, which is one of the weaknesses of the Democratic Party. If the Republicans were to do this, should the Democrats get control of the Senate again, they will do the same thing. They will use that, and believe me, the progressives in the party will force the Democrats to use that. They will remind them who ended the filibuster, and it's their job to, basically fight fire with fire. And we are starting to see that with the Democratic Party, at least in this budget shutdown. But Trump is putting pressure on Thune and the Republicans to end the filibuster, potentially here. The way it's hard to interpret his all-cap writing, but that's what I want to read on. Is Trump looking... Let's ask the energy around Trump's opinion of the filibuster. Now, I'm assuming what we're going to get out of this is just my intuition kick in with knowledge of Trump's behaviors, is Trump, like Elon Musk, they just like stuff to get done. Just do it so we look like we're doing something. If you get rid of the filibuster, then the Republicans can just do stuff and the Democrats can't stop him. And it's the sort of winner takes all mindset that Trump has. Trump does not like compromise. Compromise means to him that he's lost, and he sees things in a very binary world of winners and losers. You never have two winners, you only have losers, with him being the winner. Donald Trump on the filibuster. Entertainment purposes only. What do we have here? Foundation of the reading is the Nine of Coins. We're going to actually be going into Donald Trump's personality and values. He who has the most money wins, or he who has the most money makes all the rules. Why would this person ever need to compromise? They've got all the money, they've got the nice clothes, they got the beautiful bird on their hand, the beautiful gardens. Why should they have to compromise on anything? They've got everything. The challenge is the happiness in unity. The challenge, this is also the card for the Republican Party. Ideally, when you have a lot of wealth, you share that wealth with others. So everybody has some joy and some hope for the future, that they can maybe one day find their pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. You don't want them groveling. You want them looking forward to life every day. And underneath it all is judgment. Person in charge calling other people to hear what they have to say and mindlessly obey it. So right now, what we're setting up here is Trump feeling like, the oligarchs who have all the money should make all the rules and people should listen to them. I decree what you need to do. You just mindlessly listen and do what I tell you to. And then he will be happy regardless of the happiness of these people. So Donald Trump equates his wealth with his happiness. Now, Donald Trump is not a happy person. I don't think he understands the concept of happiness. He doesn't understand love. He doesn't understand humor. He doesn't understand happiness. He understands anxiety and fear, and the lack of anxiety and the lack of fear. The lack of fear is his version of joy. The lack of anxiety is his version of happiness. But it's not happiness, it's just less anxiety, less fear. Okay? You have to kind of recalibrate your brain to something like that, because I honestly believe he does not know what happiness and joy are. He certainly doesn't know what humor is. In the past, the Justice card, to quote Mitch McConnell, elections have consequences. I'm the guy with the most money, I call all the shots, and everybody should just be happy that I've told them what to do and how to do it. Elections have consequences. And Trump also, in his legal cases, he wins his legal cases purely by threatening to outspend the mom and pop shops that would bring him to court. That's how he wins. He's just a bully. A bully using the court system to get what he wants. Current situation. The King of Cups. The Trumper tantrums. the overly emotional man who's losing grip on reality. As he slips further and further into his dementia, into the strokes that he's suffering, into the heart issues that he's got on. Again, entertainment purposes only on all those things. We haven't seen his medical records to back that up. The same medical records that say he's 6'3", 215 pounds, right? Those medical records, in a paragon of health. Yet a few months later, he's got swollen ankles and he's taking statins and Other drugs that would be used for treating strokes. Damage to the top of his hand where it looked like IV diuretics would go, which would be used for your swollen ankles, which would suggest a weakened heart, would also suggest congestive heart failure, and a family history involving Alzheimer's. Yeah, he's perfectly healthy. Overarching energy is the Three of Swords, the betrayal. Yeah, it's kind of one of the things. This goes back to Ross Perot, too. When you elect a CEO of a company, especially a private company, they are basically mini dictators. There is nobody that could tell Donald Trump what to do or how to do it at Trump.org. Nobody. There's not even a board, I don't believe, there. If there was a board, he was the chairman of the board as well as the president of the company. But, the board would be Eric and Don Jr. and Ivanka, and you know exactly how much he listened to those folks. So basically, he started off life as a tyrant, and that's his leadership skill. Do everything I tell you to and don't question orders. Loyalty above all else will get you promoted. But if I promote you, you owe me loyalty and fealty for the rest of your life. It's a one-way street. And, he does not understand this whole compromise stuff that they do in the Senate. Why in God's name would you do that when you can just impose your will? You've got all the money. Do what I tell you to. Lesson to be learned is the Queen of Wands. He's expecting Congress to take action on what he's decreed. This is a card of action. Right now, this is not going out and actually doing it. It's thinking about it. But he wants to... It's almost like he wants to hear them say that they've got a plan to get rid of the filibuster so that he can impose his will and the Republicans can impose their will. But it's mostly Trump imposing his will on others. Outcome, Three of Cups. And he expects them to get this done. Don't let the Democrats stop us from what I want to do. Go out and do your job so that we all benefit. And by we all benefit, I mean I benefit. And you guys can get the whatever spills out of my cup you can fight over type of thing. And then he can tell other wealthy people that he's done them great favors, and they, of course, owe him for the great favors that he did them. He's like a weed. You give him an inch, he takes a yard. Like a backyard. But seriously, that's what he's like. And he'll always push. He'll want more and more and more. And if you push back, then you were disloyal, and then he brings about his ire on you and tries to make your life miserable. There's no measured response in that man. So you can imagine him blowing up Thune's phone, the House Senate Majority Leader. I'm sorry, the Senate's Majority Leader, and ask him why he hasn't gotten rid of the filibuster so they get all his judges appointed and get his agendas through. So he can get on with prosecuting his political enemies. Let's look at John Thune. After maybe receiving 1 or 2 thousand calls a day from the toddler-in-chief, what is he thinking about with this request to end the filibuster? The Tower is... He doesn't want to do it. He knows what happens if you end the filibuster. It's going to bring down the government, and it's going to bring down the Republican Party because they are a minority party. He does not want to do it. Page of Cups. Yeah, it sounds good on paper. But, here's the voters coming out and voting. The Republicans are in charge for the next year. But if you take rid of the filibuster, new voters can come in, and what sounded good in 2025 is going to sound really lousy in 20. It's going to stink to high heaven in 2027. And also temperance. They've had the filibuster in Congress. Maybe there's some things they can do to tweak it, but it serves a purpose. It's a way to mitigate the damage when the other party is in power. And the Republicans, more than doing things that they want to prevent the Democrats from doing what they want. And that's the mindset of a minority party, because they know their ability to be in power is limited. They'll want to get stuff done when they're in power, but they're going to be out of power more than they're in. So you've got to prevent the other side from moving society forward. Society moves forward. If you try and move it back, you're taking away things, and people never like it when you take away things. They want you to move forward with things. So looking at the Supreme Court taking away Roe v. Wade and the women's right to choose their bodies, I think that was the first time, I don't know if it's U.S. history, certain in our lifetimes, probably U.S. history, that rights were taken away. And it did not play well. I'm surprised it didn't seem to play out more in the ballot box in 2024. Maybe there was some shenanigans going on with the ballot boxes in 2024. Haven't seen any proof of that yet, but just saying. You'd have thought women would have rallied around candidates that would want to restore their rights. So, Thune understands that this is a bad idea, and I don't think he's going to go for it. And maybe I'll just ask, will Thune cave in to Donald Trump? Because I think I just asked, how is he feeling about that? Will he actually capitulate? I don't think he will. I don't get the feeling he will. And I think that has everything to do with Donald Trump's poor health. I think the understanding is Donald Trump's not going to be around for very long, and there's the declining health card. Pentacles are wealth, health, or values. And that's the decline, and we're on an infinity loop. So not only it's a decline, it's a downward spiral. Will he do it? I think he understands that doing that would be a downward spiral, but the president's health is also a downward spiral. Justice card, it wouldn't be challenged in the courts per se, but it's one of the things that's defined the Senate. And these things have a way of coming back and biting you in the butt. Charity, will he do it? They will maybe carve out some things where the filibuster can be limited. I think the Democrats, Biden even talked about doing that. There could be something where they look at limiting the filibuster on some things. It would be nice to not have to do this with budgets or Biden wanted voting issues, voters' rights taken care of on that. You shouldn't be filibustering people's rights to voting. But there's a financial component here, or a value component. And then you got the 4 wands and the 4 cups. So downward spiral, and then what happens when we're no longer in office? Again, we're usually the party that's down here, relying on the generosity of the Democrats to stay in. Will he do it? The answer is no. No, he wants to keep things the way they are. He understands that getting rid of the filibuster is a downward spiral. They will be kicked out. And after they're kicked out, everything that they've done will be undone. And then all of a sudden, very wealthy people will be seeing their money going to less wealthy people. And the Democrats will then pass laws and other things to get their budgets through and their agendas through. No, he's not going to do it. Not going to do it. Will not entertain it. This is not happening. So if you get worried that the filibuster is going to go away and the Republicans are going to run roughshod over the Democrats, first off, that seems to me really unlikely to happen. But also, it is a short-term win and it will have long-term consequences that the Republicans are not going to want to deal with. We'll leave it there. Thank you very much for watching this video and supporting my channel. I appreciate it. You got me over 50,000 subscribers, and that's just a heck of a milestone. I really do want to thank you all for who have subscribed to my channel, left comments, given a thumbs up, shared the videos, all those things to help spread it out to other people so that they could potentially gain insight from my intuition and reading of tarot cards on political subjects. I'm doing a live this upcoming Tuesday, November 4th at 1 o'clock Pacific time. I hope you can make it. I'll have Shauna Ristic with me, and we will be answering your questions through tarot and intuition, and it ought to be a good time. Thank you, everyone, again, and I'll catch you on the next video. Take care.